Okay, let's talk about B2B lead nurturing best practices. So unless your product or service is self-serve or your average sales cycle is, say, less than an hour, there's a really good chance you're going to need to nurture people. The sad truth is that no one will marry you on a first date, despite what a lot of B2B companies try and get you to do. So, chances are your sales cycle is longer than an hour. It's probably longer than a month. Maybe it's even 2 years. Obviously, the longer it is, the more you're going to need to nurture people. But let's get over right now the fact that no one's going to marry you on the first date. Now, marketing automation does a great job of managing the nurturing process. But before clients even have marketing automation, it's very typical that they generate new leads, and then for some reason they throw them all over the fence to sales. And of course, sales tends to cherry pick the best, and the rest just get ignored. So sales says, great job marketing, we've used up all the good leads, we need a fresh batch. And of course, marketing generates a whole new fresh batch of leads, once again throws them over the fence to sales, where sales cherry picks the best ones, and now we even have a bigger bucket of ignored leads. So marketing automation changes this whole endless lead loop. Marketing still generates fresh leads, however, we're not going to send anyone over the fence just yet. We're going to nurture them unless they're absolutely ready to buy. And we're going to leverage scoring to define the success of our nurturing programs. So at some point, a lead has become ready for sales. And at that point, they are thrown over the fence. But if they're not ready for sales, if they just haven't scored high enough, no problem. We're just going to continue to nurture them until they are. This does a couple things. It gets sales focused on leads that are much closer to buying, which eliminates the cherry picking, and it plugs a huge leak in the funnel. Now, why would we want to nurture in the first place? Well, this is an interesting stat from our friends at Serious Decisions. Here we are. Here's the leads that sales gets. Of course, here's the 20% follow-up, also known as cherry picking. Of those cherry-picked leads, typically they'll only qualify about 30% of them, leaving a full 70% quote-unquote disqualified. But guess what? 80% of these 70% end up buying anyway. It might take them a couple of years to do it, but they still end up buying. Now, what we've learned is that nurturing yields about a 4% growth in leads. This is from Eloqua's 2011 benchmark report. You see right here, growth in leads 4% with nurturing. Without nurturing, we actually have some serious attrition going on here. A negative 17%, not good. So there's lots of places where we can leverage nurturing, but in general, we want to try and plug all of the funnel leaks, and those typically include all of your database that's flat out inactive, those that haven't raised their hand in any way whatsoever, no email click-throughs, no form submits, no website visits in X number of days, all those leads that sales actually rejects, and there are actually a number of legitimate reasons why sales might actually do that. Of course, cross-sell and upsell, just because you have a customer, this is a big leak. Not leveraging marketing automation to get additional sales. We want to make sure that nurturing is actually driving scoreable activities. Otherwise, scoring programs have to live based on happenstance, and it could be months before you get the scores you really need. So scoring and nurturing are absolutely joined at the hip. We want to also map the nurturing process to where people are in the buying cycle, whether at the early stage, the middle stage, or the late stage. So you're probably saying, yeah, I get all that. I'm supposed to nurture people, totally got it. How often should I really be hammering my people? Well, that's a very good question. And of course, as a true consultant, my answer is, it depends. And it really depends on the relationship you have with someone. For example, you personally are probably going to be more tolerant of hearing from friends and family than, say, the IRS. So here's our curve here, right? There's no black and white answer. However, safe to say that your tolerance level goes way up if it's somebody you've either done business with or you have a perceived relationship, whether you like their brand or not, and especially if what they're sending you is actually relevant. So those that are engaged are probably more reticent to receiving a higher frequency than those that are completely ignoring you. So we want to monitor that big time. Average emails received per month per contact. Well, obviously it depends on the industry, but for example, in high tech, if you're an SMB or a corporate or enterprise, you see where you fall right here. For example, enterprise, 2.1 average emails per month. whereas the SMB market is 1.3. Here's some interesting stats. Both B2B and B2C best-in-class send an average of 4 communications per program, and they typically space them out over a period of 10 days. B2C only wait somewhere between 3 and 8 days before sending the next one, but they end up getting emailed more frequently at the beginning and then slow down towards the end. B2B, on the other hand, pretty much has evenly spaced communication somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks throughout the campaign. There really is no perfect answer here. I mean, really, the obvious answer is you really do need to test it, but here is a great place to start. First step, identify your average sales cycle. Let's just say it's 6 months. If it is 6 months or longer, try and send a new touch every 21 days. If it's less than 6 months, start with sending a new touch every 14 days, but really monitor the click-through and the conversion, and then try and adjust the frequency via testing until you pinpoint the ideal timing. One advanced solution you can do, which we've done before, is that we actually automate the frequency based on their level of interest, which is based on their level of interaction. So if somebody is responding to your messages, we can actually bump up the frequency. But if they're not responding, we can actually slow down the frequency, all very dynamic, and it's literally measured with every single new email touch. Best-in-class lead nurturing produces results, no doubt about that. 451% increase in qualified leads for the enterprise client. Huge, huge difference.